Here we go again. Another day. Now he was loved, merited deservedly, of his grandfather, or because of his grandfather, and his avunculus, his father's brother, or possibly of his father. We know it's two things because embo means two, who both for the Senate and for their populus Romana, the Roman people, against Maximinus, had simserited arms. They'd taken up arms against Maximinus, and they had perished militarily, either by death, probably fighting, or necessitate, which they seem to be translating as the despair of a soldier may have caused his death. 7. Post this, after this, veterans venerated came to the Curia, the Senate House, so that they could have a purpose. The purpose is so that they could learn what actul messet, what had happened, what had been going on. From which, of these veterans, 2 ingressi entered the capital. When there the Senate was being agorited, the Senate was being held. There was people in there at the time, a day. And before the altar itself, by Gallicanus, an ex-consul, and Machina, from the generals, who had been a general, these 2 were interrupted. They were killed. And an intestinal war, intestines are your inside, so it's internal war, civil war, was began. When even the senators were martyred, were armed. Looks like the veteran soldiers being ignorant that Gordianus, the adolescent, he was holding power then soulless alone. Chapter 23. Dexippus, indeed, asseverates or assevers or asserts himself that from the son of Gordianus, the 3rd Gordium was born. And afterwards it was agreed amongst the veterans also that this Gordian was ruling alone. So what happened? Between the people and the soldiers and the veterans, there was a very strong, robust peace made. And this was the finis, the end of the internal war, when the consulship was dilatus, Tulli, Ferro Tulli Latus, the irregular verb. So the consulship was given to Gordiano, the boy. 2. Said, but there was an indication that not for a long time, so it's an omen given to this, that Gordian would not imperator, he wouldn't rule for very long. Because there was an eclipse of the sun happened, facta est, so that it's passive, so it looks like it was believed to be, that night it was believed to be, because it was so dark, and neither without lanterns burning or lights burning was anything able to be agorade, to be done. No business could be done. 3. Post-take, after these things, new to plural, nevertheless, for pleasures and other kinds of delights, the Roman people had vacant time, free time for all these pleasures. So that these things, which were done, mitigated all the gesta, the things which had been done asperously, the harsh things which had preceded it. They could be forgotten now with a bit of pleasure, etc. 4. In 240 AD, Venustus and Sabine were the consuls. A faction initiated or began in Africa against Gordian III, with the leader being Sabianus. Quem, yes, this is the revolt, the faction, which Gordianus, through the presiding ruler of Mauritania, who was besieged the conspirators or attacked them in some way, he oppressed these conspiracy. Thus so that they all came to Carthage to hand over to him, Sabinus, I guess, and they were confiding their crimes or confessing crimes in postulantes, demanding a veniam, a pardon for all their scelerabuses. 5. Therefore then, with these solicitudes or anxieties ended, in Africa, and Gordianus was now again, and Pompeo for the first time were consuls. So this would be second consulship for Gordianus and the first of Pompeiano. Natus for the neuter. A war against the Persians was born or started. 6. There's an et there. So also when Gordianus was an adolescent, prior to setting out to the war, another et, he duxed a wife. He led a wife, he married a wife, the filiam, the daughter of the triple genitive of Misithea, a learned man, whom, because of his eloquence, was worthy, he thought, to be a parentella. He'd be marrying into this family, and he made him start him immediately a prefect, which is a position. Now, the correct form of his name was Gaius Verdius Sabinius Aquila Timotheus. The origin of the incorrect form name Mysticis is uncertain. His daughter's name was Furia Sabina Tranquillus. Okay, fair enough. The guy was in the equestrian order. Okay. So, Daily Dictionary, a parentella just means relationship here. What they got here, parentella in Lewis and Short, relationship from parent, post-classical. Yep, there we go. Post this, 7. That he was not a puerile and contemptible now. He's seen when he was holding power. Si quidem, since, or because, double et, both he was helped by these concilius, by the advice of his great father-in-law, and himself, because of piety, was sapere, means he was wise, eloquentum, become a little bit wiser, because he woke up to himself, so that neither through the eunuchs, the spades, and the ministers of the court, things were sold. I guess positions and favours were sold, either by ignorance or connivances of his mother, who must have been controlling him in some way. 24. Finally, in short, there still exists extant an epistle of his father-in-law to him, and of himself, of Gordianus himself to his father-in-law, in which it can be understood that they tried to amend and diligently, with his father-in-law helping perfect his era or his age which he was living. So they were trying to better society, of which here's an example. To my lord son and Augustus, Mistius, father-in-law and prefect, begins. We have evaded a gravem, a serious macula, stain of the times, in which through the eunuchs and through those who seem to be friends to you, however they are venomous enemies, they seem to be vendor bountying everything, they seem to be selling all their influences. Eo magus and quo, eo with a comparative and quo with a comparative. This is all the more of a pleasure, and more pleasing it should be to you, these corrections, emendations, that if something had been of a vice, vitia had been satisfactorily stands, that these are not to have been your vices, my venerable son, or son-in-law, and I'll continue tomorrow.